there, welcome to another Frank and Sandy show, and Isabella, who obviously wants to be in the show again. We can't seem to not have one of these shows without Isabella wanting to perform a star attraction role. We're going to talk a little bit about things that are necessities. For example, electricity. It seems like everybody, when you come to Costa Rica, say, well, you got to get used to the water going out, the electricity going out. It's just the way things are. Let's move to electricity. Electricity is a little trickier because now you're talking solar and battery backups and things like that. And this is an expensive option, but power goes out enough that to us it was worth it. You can spend $30,000, $40,000 on a solar system with a battery backup, and you will have to deal with very little in terms of power failures.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of money. And what we found out, which we didn't know, we bought a house that had solar. And we're like, well, great, because if power fails in the middle of the day, we can run right off the solar.
Well, I remember we were thinking, well, that's a boon. We're not going to have electricity bills, and we're going to not have to deal with power interruptions. We're set. Not so fast.
Yeah, if you don't have a battery backup with sophisticated technology to shut off the solar panels during a power failure and switch it around and do all kinds of things, the standard way solar panels are set up, at least the ones we've run into, they shut down so that they don't send power back to the grid during a power failure, because it's a safety thing. You don't want to electrocute the guys working on the grid trying to get everything back up. So you can't use solar in most of the systems I've seen, because they will shut down as a safety precaution. So you think, oh, during the day I'm good, I'm generating lots of power, even if the power goes out, I've got power. Nope, the second that power goes down at the street, you go down with it. And the way you work around that is you get sophisticated technologies that can switch to a battery and do a disconnect if it sees that happening. That way nobody gets electrocuted. It's an approved system that you can do these things with here.
And that requires permitting and a whole bunch of other things that we might get into a little bit later, but we're just talking about the convenience factor of having constant access to electricity.
And it does take a long time to get through that permit process, but there are mitigation measures that the company that puts in the solar can do to get you some benefits while you're waiting for permits and things like that. You can do pieces or not pieces, and talk to your solar company about that. But a battery backup is critical.
Yeah.
Not just for the reason of being able to be online during a power failure, which is usually tied into this whole thing. You need an inverter with advanced technology, but also so that you can make it through the night easily with a battery, a good battery. And then, if it goes out all night, you're going to drain down your battery somewhat, and in the morning the solar will come back up, it'll charge your battery again, even if the grid's not there.
You get to wake up to having coffee when some people won't be having coffee in the morning.
Yeah, and matter of fact, before we got the solar system up and running and everything working properly, there were times I'd walk over to the coffee pot, well, might as well get a coffee. That's the sound of a coffee pot not doing anything. And so then you're over going, well, the gas might still work because that doesn't use any electricity. I can start it with one of those butane lighters. And okay, so now you're putting hot water on there and trying to figure out how to make coffee out of water and some grinds. And it's like, it doesn't taste that good when it's all said and done. But if you're desperate, what do? I mean, people will tell you, oh, well, you just have to put up with this and deal with it. You're living in paradise, Pura Vida, all that. It's like,
I was going to say, a lot of times people will say Pura Vida, and you can have Pura Vida and you don't have to deal with the inconvenience. And guess what? Life just gets even better.
And so I'll give a little plug, and they didn't pay me for this, but Costa Rica Solar Solutions did ours. They've stood behind everything. If any little problem, any big problem, they've come out and solved it really fast. Can't say enough good things about those folks. And again, they're not paying me to say this or anything. They don't even know I'm saying this. but
I'm sure they appreciate it. But
they're one company you can talk. One company you can talk to. There are others. I don't really know who they are, but those folks have done a great job, and this equipment is excellent, and it did everything they said and more. I remember when we first got here, we were in a rental, and it didn't have any solar, didn't have any battery backup, and it was during the infamous COVID.
Yeah.
And the power was going out for 6 to 8 hours, and you're looking at your fridge and going, oh my gosh, I don't know how long that fridge is going to be able to keep this food good. And we can't go anywhere 5 days a week because they wouldn't let you drive. At the beginning, it was like a lot of days you weren't supposed to drive, whatever. So you just lose all your food. What are you going to do to eat? Okay, crackers, I guess, until you can get to the store.
It's time to raid the pantry.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was not a comfortable experience dealing with that. It turns out fridges can hold food for a day or two, depending on your model. That's what I read anyways.
And we never had it out for that long, but with the COVID piece of it, with not knowing when it was coming out, and at that point we were in a much more remote location than we are currently. So we would watch the lights from the city center go on, and wondered, well, how long is it going to take for them to get to us? So, particularly in more rural areas, this water situation as well as the electricity becomes increasingly even more important.
Yeah, and you don't really think about it, and it doesn't sound like a real big hassle. Oh, 3 hours here, 3 hours there, until it happens sporadically at the wrong times, and like during Christmas dinner and things like that, and it happens frequently enough to get your attention.
Well, and during the rainy season, where there's going to be lightning strikes, you're going to have a much higher prevalence of this situation happening. So during that time of the year, you can guarantee you're going to be without power at some point. So
yeah, because the last thing you want to hear is bang.
Oh yeah, it's loud. You'll hear it.
It has a transformer going somewhere. And if you're downline from that, guess what? You're offline. Other nice thing about solar systems, if you're thinking about it and you're eco-conscious, if you get a solar system, they can put in modules that will actually charge your electric car. So if you buy an electric car, you can pretty much potentially be getting your electricity for free for your car. So
yes, because we always have produce a surplus for what we actually use. It gets sent back to EC, and we end up with really a connection fee as far as utility bills.
And unfortunately here, they don't give you money back if you give them more than you've pulled. In the United States, they do, I guess, in certain places, but here, our experience is they just say, okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we help provide power for the country.
But the good thing is, as Frank did mention, like you can add electric cars. You could add air conditioning units should you want to do that, and you have enough power to run them and still not have an electric bill.
I mean, how great is that? You can run air conditioning for free. And you don't need air conditioning much here at all, especially in the Central Valley, but a little pop here and there on a hot day sure doesn't hurt.
Right. Now, if you're on the beach, I don't know whether there's going to be enough power to run the AC full time, because you're going to need AC there a lot more than here in the Central Valley.
Yeah, because you can burn 2,500 watts an hour. And so that is a lot of power. Your pool pump is like 1,500 watts, and that's a lot of power too. That makes up most of our consumption on our pool. But if you're going to run your air conditioner 10 hours a day, you're going to need a lot more solar panels, potentially more inverters, potentially more batteries. Again, that's where you talk to your solar solution expert, and they can help you size that properly. If you hear some rat-a-tat-tatting in the background, it's because it just started raining, and I don't know if you're hearing this or not. We've got some pretty good mics here, and they're good at getting stuff out of the mix. But if it's loud, I'm sorry about that. But that's pretty much the end of this segment anyways.
Right.
We're going to leave you with some other great videos. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in this. Let's just call it surprise videos, some beautiful scenes. I'm going to call it surprise videos. So take a look at this.
We're the Frank and Sandy Show. We travel. Our guests have attitude. We turn up in exotic places.
Here we are in Costa Rica. We're actually still not there.
You'll find us on cruise ships. We're doing travel interviews.
I like puppies. Well, she must be a Democrat.
You'll never know what's around our next corner.